Trooping the color was meant to be a proud celebration of tradition. This grand, time-honored ceremony honoring the official birthday of the British monarch has always been a carefully choreographed display of unity, strength, and royal splendor. The flags waved high, the soldiers in red coats marched perfectly in sync, and crowds gathered along the mall, proudly waving Union Jacks just as countless generations before them had done. But this year, amid the gleam of swords and the booming sound of drums, something unexpected unfolded, something irreversible. The moment was subtle but powerful. As the royal family assembled on the historic balcony of Buckingham Palace, all eyes and cameras were on the king, who appeared fragile yet dignified, clearly carrying the heavy burden of his long reign. Standing across from him was Princess Catherine, radiant and resolute, flanked by Prince William. But before we continue, we'd love for you to hit the subscribe button if you're enjoying this video. If you just did, we truly appreciate it. Now, let's get back to the main content. When the flypast passed overhead and the national anthem filled the air, King Charles took a deliberate step back, allowing Catherine to move forward. It was no accident. Observers quickly noticed the intentional shift, the meaningful looks exchanged, and the quiet passing of symbolic power. In that simple gesture, King Charles did something no one anticipated. He handed the spotlight to the future queen, not just in title, but visibly and unmistakably. This move sent shockwaves through royal circles and across global media. Some called it a gentle introduction to succession. Others saw it as a clear rejection of Camilla's role at the heart of the monarchy. While Catherine stepped forward confidently, Queen Camilla lingered in the background. Her usual tight smile vanished, and as the ceremony continued, she appeared increasingly pale and withdrawn, as though bearing the full weight of recent events. Rumors spread quickly. Had she been sidelined from the most visible stage possible? Behind palace doors, the mood was tense. Some insiders described Camilla as devastated, while others said she emotionally collapsed out of sight, furious over what she saw as a betrayal by the man she had stood beside through years of turmoil and sacrifice. But the king's message was clear, not through words, but through his actions. And the world watched it unfold. This was no longer just a military parade. It was a spiritual coronation for Catherine. It marked the start of a new era and the fading of another. What took place that day at Trooping the Color wasn't simply another royal event. It was a decisive moment, a clear statement to the world that Catherine now owns her future. Though the day followed all the hallmarks of a classic royal celebration, with impeccable ceremony, thunderous cavalry, and centuries-old tradition, an unusual tension hung in the air long before the first drumbeat echoed across Horse Guards Parade. Royal insiders sensed an unusual buzz in the air. Something just didn't feel right. It all began with the seating arrangements on the parade grounds, where Catherine was given a noticeably more prominent spot than usual, while Camilla rode opposite King Charles in the open carriage. The tension between them was palpable. Catherine arrived alongside Prince William and their children, still recovering from recent health challenges, yet she looked absolutely radiant. Draped in royal blue, her posture spoke volumes, confident, composed, and undeniably regal. However, the real drama unfolded on the Buckingham Palace balcony, not during the parade itself. As the royal family appeared to greet the nation, every gaze zeroed in on one crucial detail: how they were positioned. King Charles took his place, but not at the center. Instead, he angled slightly to the left, making room for Catherine and William to occupy the focal point. Then, at the peak of the flypast, when the crowd's attention was locked on the iconic procession above, Charles made his subtle move. He stepped back, barely noticeable, not a grand gesture, but just enough to catch the eye of the many cameras trained on them. Once spotted, the significance was clear. Royal commentators scrambled to interpret the signal. Former palace aides revealed that private briefings had been held for weeks, with Charles preparing the public for an eventual shift in leadership. Yet no one, not even Camilla, expected it to be done so publicly, so unmistakably. For Camilla, it was a nightmare unfolding live. She lingered a few feet away, her smile stiff and forced. Usually positioned just behind the king during such ceremonies, she was noticeably absent from several wide-angle photos released by the press. One close-up image of Charles looking intently at Catherine while Camilla averted her gaze quickly went viral, with captions dubbing them "the Queen and the Queen in Waiting." Though the label wasn't entirely accurate, viewers saw Catherine had already become the Queen in spirit. Social media exploded. Hashtags like #Queen, Catherine, #Trooping Shift, and #Camilla Out began trending across platforms. Royal experts appeared on morning shows worldwide, calling the moment a calculated, soft handover of power. Body language specialists analyzed Charles's posture, eye contact, and subtle deference toward Catherine as a clear message. The monarchy's future had already arrived. Perhaps most strikingly for Camilla, Clarence House issued no statement denying the claims. Their silence allowed the story to spread unchecked. With every passing hour, it became undeniable. This was not a misstep or misunderstanding. It was the dawn of a new chapter and the fading of Camilla's fleeting moment in the spotlight. Insiders revealed that the Queen appeared visibly shaken during her appearance on the balcony. An aide reportedly told a journalist off the record, she kept asking, "Why didn't he give me a warning?" But Charles never did. He didn't have to. This was about more than just a ceremony. It was about making history. It was about succession. The aim was clear: to secure the monarchy's future and affection by shifting the spotlight away from Charles and Camilla. But what about Catherine? While the palace might have planned a day steeped in tradition and grandeur, what unfolded was a royal reset in plain view. No public relations strategy could undo it. No forced smiles could mask it. It was a moment the palace couldn't, and didn't want to, hide. Trooping the Color 2025 was supposed to mark Queen Camilla's crowning achievement, a long-anticipated public affirmation of her role as queen consort. Behind palace walls, she reportedly spent weeks preparing for this moment. Sources say she chose her outfit well in advance, collaborated with stylists to project sovereign elegance, and even orchestrated a gentle media campaign to highlight her unwavering loyalty to the crown amid Charles's ongoing health struggles. Instead of basking in glory, Camilla watched her royal standing crumble before her eyes. According to palace insiders, Camilla had expected this year's trooping to showcase her strength and stability as queen consort, a narrative she pushed quietly behind the scenes. She also allegedly teamed up with select journalists to arrange favorable coverage in the aftermath. In her mind, this was to be her defining moment, her opportunity to cement her legacy. But when the balcony scene unfolded with Catherine taking center stage alongside William, Camilla was relegated to the sidelines. It was more than symbolism. To Camilla, it felt like a personal betrayal. Royal aides who spoke anonymously confirmed the changes were never discussed with her. Charles kept it under wraps, fully aware that any hint of diminishing Camilla's prominence would spark a fierce conflict. And the fallout was swift and intense. As soon as the family retreated indoors, Camilla reportedly broke down emotionally. A palace insider described her as both heartbroken and furious, repeatedly asking, "Why would he do this to me in front of everyone?" Witnesses said her personal team quickly escorted her away. Some described her as pale and shaking. Others painted a more dramatic picture, saying she threw her gloves to the floor in frustration, declaring the king had humiliated her before the entire world. Photos from the balcony rapidly flooded the internet. Catherine's composed and graceful figure dominated headlines across major media outlets, with titles like "A Queen's Poise," "The Future is Female," and Her name is Catherine. Camilla was either cropped out or pushed aside, an invisible presence crushed by her own shattered expectations. As the story unfolded worldwide, the palace's internal calculations shifted as well. Camilla hadn't fully grasped just how meticulously Charles's decision had been orchestrated behind closed doors. Rumors spread that senior advisors had urged him to make way for the next generation. The monarchy stood at a pivotal moment, with growing public support for William and Kate, especially following Catherine's recent health battle. Camilla, who had spent decades trying to win acceptance, was increasingly seen by some insiders as a relic of the past rather than a link to the future. Though she still held the title, real power had already slipped through her fingers. Her decline wasn't about feelings or appearances, it was structural. She came to understand that the institution she had hoped to join was moving forward without her. One palace staffer put it bluntly, Camilla thought this was her moment, but history had other plans. While cameras captured Camilla's stunned stillness on the Buckingham Palace balcony, they also caught something far more telling. Princess Catherine, standing calmly beside her husband, wasn't merely putting on a smile for the crowd. She was emanating something no title alone can grant, the genuine legitimacy of a queen beloved by the people. Her path to the center of the monarchy has been deliberate and dignified. There have been no scandals, no missteps, no bitterness. For over a decade, Catherine has embodied the spirit of a modern monarchy, earning admiration without demanding it. Despite her recent health challenges, public support for her not only remained strong, it grew. The nation rallied behind her, and the world admired her poise. Now, with the significant shift during Trooping the Color, it's clear the future of the monarchy rests on her shoulders. Insiders reveal that courtiers have long viewed Kate as the true figure of continuity within the royal family. While William will inherit the crown's title, Catherine will carry its soul. Her dedication to children's mental health, veterans, and early childhood development is more than charitable. It's purposeful. She's shaping a monarchy that matters, one meaningful action at a time. Camilla has never quite controlled her public image, but Catherine never chases the spotlight. Whether attending diplomatic gatherings or comforting children in hospitals, attention finds her. Not because she seeks it, but because she represents what people expect from royalty: grace, humility, strength, and purpose. The difference between Catherine and Camilla goes beyond popularity. It's about authenticity. Camilla's presence still divides opinion. Her past controversies and complex relationship with Princess Diana's legacy continue to cast a long shadow. What about Catherine? She embodies both tradition and progress. The public often remarks that Diana would be proud of Kate for carrying herself with such grace and emotional intelligence. Charles knows this well. Those close to the king believe he fully understands the royal family's fragile position in modern Britain. His reign is naturally temporary, and he recognizes that the monarchy must evolve or risk fading into irrelevance. That's why his gesture on the balcony mattered. By stepping aside, even just a little, and letting Catherine take center stage, Charles sent a clear message. The future of the monarchy is safer in her hands. Kate wasn't trying to grab power. It was never necessary. Years of quiet service, steadfast commitment, and unwavering public support have brought her to this moment. She never demanded the crown. She simply became the one the people trust to wear it. Even some within the palace, many of whom once doubted a commoner marrying into the royal family, now acknowledge that Catherine is the monarchy's best hope for survival. One royal aide put it perfectly. She's not just the future queen. She's already carrying the monarchy, and everyone knows it. That balcony moment confirmed what millions had already felt. While Charles still wears the crown, the real presence belongs to Catherine, and no amount of tradition, titles, or old-fashioned hierarchy can change that. Trooping the Color 2025 was more than just ceremony. For King Charles, it was about shaping his legacy. Charles, a monarch long overshadowed by scandal, tragedy, and public doubt, has spent much of his reign trying to rewrite his own story. But with advancing age and declining health, he knows his time is limited. He understands that his legacy depends on how he exits the stage. That's why his decision to publicly elevate Catherine while sidelining Camilla was deliberate and precise. Palace insiders reveal Charles has been meeting privately with key advisors over the past year to plan the monarchy's future. A common consensus emerged: Camilla is not the future. Despite rebranding efforts, carefully managed interviews, and polished media appearances, she remains associated with the monarchy's most troubled times. For many, she will always be remembered as the woman who replaced Diana. And no matter how much Charles cares for Camilla personally, he's aware of the crown's needs. According to royal sources, his step back on the balcony wasn't just about his health. It was a calculated move, a symbolic passing of power that required Camilla to relinquish her spotlight. Charles made this choice because he had to. The monarchy cannot survive on nostalgia alone. It must move forward. In time, Charles admitted to himself that Camilla was not part of the monarchy's forward movement. The queen consort, once his closest confidant and political ally, found herself outmaneuvered by the very institution she had fought to join publicly. While Charles still smiled with her in public, behind closed doors, things had shifted. Staff noticed a clear distance. One aide reportedly confided to a friend, "The king isn't cold, but he's resolute. He knows the public will never fully embrace Camilla. They already admire Catherine. He's done fighting against the tide." Camilla's own missteps haven't helped her cause. In recent months, concerns grew quietly about her family's use of royal privileges, with discreet investigations into whether titles and connections were being exploited behind the scenes. Though none of these issues led to a public scandal, the palace was unhappy with the optics, and so was Charles. Despite the brevity of his reign, Charles's mission has been clear: protect the monarchy. That means preparing it not just to survive, but to thrive. That future belongs to William and Catherine, no one else. By openly supporting Catherine during Trooping the Color, Charles effectively reshaped the monarchy's public image. He ended any perception that he was stuck in the past. He sent a powerful message to the Commonwealth and the world: I see what you see, and I'm with you. Camilla may have felt betrayed after years of loyalty, standing by his side through exile and restoration. She likely expected the crown to secure her lasting influence. But Charles never promised permanence. He promised partnership. And when that partnership threatened the crown's reputation, he chose the monarchy over his wife. For Charles, this was never just about love or history. It was about legacy. As he looked down from that balcony at the roaring crowds and millions watching worldwide, he knew exactly what he was doing: passing the future. Not to Camilla, but to Catherine. Within the palace walls, power doesn't always shift with fanfare. It moves through whispers, exchanged glances, and subtle alliances. While the public was still digesting Charles's symbolic gesture, something far more significant was unfolding behind the scenes: a consolidation of those who now steer the monarchy's future. At the heart of this new power center are Prince William and Princess Anne, a pair once divided by generation and personality, now united by a common purpose. The decision to prominently elevate Catherine during Trooping the Color might have been Charles's signature move, but the momentum behind it had been building for months, and it wasn't his alone. Sources close to the royal family say Princess Anne never truly accepted Camilla, despite maintaining a polite public front. Anne quietly viewed Camilla as an intruder, someone who disrupted family traditions, challenged royal norms, and, most importantly, lacked the resilience and dedication expected of a queen. Having devoted her life to quiet service, Anne reportedly found Camilla's growing influence at the core of the monarchy hard to tolerate. Then there's William, whose relationship with Camilla has grown increasingly distant. Insiders describe their interactions as polite at best, icy at worst. Unlike his father, William isn't tied to the past emotionally. His vision for the monarchy is forward-thinking, practical, and grounded in public trust. Camilla's role feels like a wild card, one that doesn't fit. Privately, William has said that his mother's legacy guides his every decision. Though he rarely mentions Diana publicly, those close to him believe her values shape his choices. Camilla's involvement in Diana's pain remains an unshakable shadow in his mind. There's no overt hostility, but a quiet divide exists. He respects the rules but doesn't embrace her. So when Charles stepped aside and Catherine moved forward, Anne and William didn't just watch, they supported it. A senior royal advisor revealed that Anne and William were aligned well before the event. Anne reportedly told a trusted staffer, "The time has come." Catherine was finally recognized, truly recognized. This alliance has formed what some call the new royal vanguard: William, Catherine, and Anne. Together, they embody tradition, progress, and strength. Their unity signals a major shift in royal influence, from past compromises to a future that feels stable, sensible, and in tune with the public. And Camilla? She's no longer inside that inner circle. Even within palace walls, loyalties have shifted. More staff are believed to back William and Catherine, viewing them as the monarchy's anchors for the long haul. With Anne's quiet support, they're seen as the monarchy's de facto leaders, even though Charles still holds the crown officially. Camilla's days of confidently roaming the royal halls with assumed authority are over. Behind those doors, allegiances close silently, one by one. Though no formal titles have changed, everyone understands the reality. The House of Windsor has moved forward. It's rallying around the future, and Camilla is left outside that circle. For decades, Camilla worked to reshape her image, from outsider to queen consort, from scandal to stability. She faced tabloids, rumors, and cold stares from a nation that never fully accepted her. And for a time, it seemed she had succeeded. She stood beside the king, crowned and waving from the balcony. She had arrived. But trooping the color shattered the illusion. In a single, perfectly staged moment, Charles stepping back and Catherine stepping forward, Camilla's journey faded into the background. She wasn't pushed out. She was quietly passed over, not erased, but replaced, silently, permanently, and in full view of the world. This was the monarchy speaking through posture rather than proclamations. Power didn't shift with words. It moved with presence. Catherine's rise wasn't sudden. It was subtle, graceful, and impossible to ignore. Camilla's influence dwindled under that very elegance. There will be no dramatic exiles, no public dethroning. Camilla's title, her smile, and her role will remain the same. But the truth is undeniable. The people have chosen their queen. And it isn't Camilla. Charles, the conflicted monarch, finally acted, not out of love or redemption, but to secure his legacy. In doing so, he acknowledged what the world had long known. Catherine is the rightful queen. Camilla now stands at the edge of the royal family's embrace of the next generation. Still royal, but no longer central. Still named, but no longer essential. A queen by title, but not in spirit. The woman who spent decades vying for the throne now watches history move on. Not with anger, but with quiet, tragic acceptance. She was never meant to be queen. She was the placeholder until the real queen arrived. And now she is the queen that never truly existed.